Okay, so first, open your ACL desktop through the shortcut in your desktop. Double-click it. And then choose Open an Existing Project. Okay. And then in the desktop, find the folder, ACL Project. Okay. And then you should find the metaphor project and double-click it to open it. So you will see these 7 tables we have created last week. Okay? So everyone on the same page? Any problems? Okay. So in the last week, you remember that we have extract a new table from the original transactions in April table and named as revised transactions in April. Okay? So in this table, all the transactions that happened in April. And then you can see in the bottom of your screen, it shows the name of the table. It means that you're working on in this table. And then it also shows the number of the records that in the table. It shows that in this revised transactions in April table, you have 273 records. Okay. Now that's for we create this table using a filter to filter out a date field. Now I'm going to show you how to filter out the other type of field, like the text field and the numeric field. Okay. For example, when we are auditing these transactions in April table, we find that we are told that there are one customer who is very suspicious. So we need to extract all the transactions related to that customer and do the substantive analysis or doing further investigation. So you can see that we have a field in this table named the customer number here. And then, for example, the customer number, the suspicious customer number we are told is this one, 444413. And then we need to create a filter to extract all the transactions that are related to this customer number. Okay, so then we can just a little bit refresh. We can still go to the Edit and View Filter in this. But click this button, you will see this expression box. Okay, and then here we can choose the expression or the field we are going to use here is this customer number. So we can just double-click customer number. And because we want to extract the transactions that related to customer number equals to 444413. So the expression here we want to set is the customer number equals to 444413, right? So we can just type 444413. Okay, is it correct? Then we could verify it. You can see that it shows there is an arrow. So why there is an arrow here? Because you can see the customer number field is a category field. It's a text field. So if we want to set up a filter to a text field, we need to put quotation mark around the value. So we need to add a quotation mark around this 444413. Okay? Add quotation marks around this value, 444413, and then we verify it again. Click OK. Then it's OK. Okay, now you can see that here it shows all the transactions related to the this customer. Okay, but you can see when you go out, look down. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Go to Filter, Edit Filter, here. So just create this expression: customer number equals to quotation mark 444413. And then quotation mark. and then click OK. Okay, so you will see all these transactions, but when you go look down to see the number of transactions, it shows a question mark here. So it didn't show the exact number of transactions that are related to this customer. And then we can use a function in ACL to count this number. It's in the Analyze, Count Records. Here, you just click OK. And then you can see that here it shows the question mark changed to 26. So it shows that there are 26 records related to this customer. Okay. In order to save this data, these transactions, into another table that we have done this last week, it's extract this to another table. Okay. For example, here we can use data, extract data. Okay, and then in the box that after the to function, we just type the name of the new table. For example, it's just customer number, it's just or 444413, or customer number equals to 444413. It's any name that it can remind you what inside of the table. Okay, so we just click OK. Then you can see that there is a new table shows on the left side. Okay. Okay. So that's to create a filter for a text field. Now I'm going to show you how to create a filter for a numeric field. You can see currently we're in this new table. It's 444413. And then let's go to another table called credit cards. If you double click it, you will see the data in this table. So you can see that basically in this table we have some fields that shows some information related to each credit card, like the credit limit, the customer number, the expiration date, the minimum payment due, the balance, the past due amount, etc., etc. So for example, we want to analyze the high-risk credit card. So one criteria we can use to define the high-risk credit card is that is according to their balance. For example, if a credit card have very high balance, then we can consider it as the high-risk credit card. Okay, in this case, for example, we set this threshold of the balance as 2,000. So we are going to filter, we are going to select all the credit cards that have balance above or greater than 2,000. So we can create a filter also using this expression function by click it. And then now the field we are going to use in this case is the balance field here, new balance. Double click it so it moves up, and then we could set it greater than 2,000. Okay, since it's the balance is a number, it's a numeric field, so we don't need to add anything around the value. We can directly input the value, type the value into the expression box. Okay, then you verify it, it's okay, and then you click OK. So it shows all the records that, all the credit cards that have balance greater than 2,000. Okay, and then if you use Analyze, Count Record again, and then click OK, so you can see that there are 53 credit cards that have balance greater than 2,000. Okay, so if we so this is one criteria for high-risk credit card. Maybe another criteria we can add to identify high-risk credit card is that if the credit card have any past due amount, that they have any amount that haven't been paid on time, so then the credit card may be the high-risk credit card. So in this case, we can add these two conditions together in one filter here in ACL. Okay. So then you go back to the expression. You can see that this is the condition we have already added. And then in order to combine two conditions, we have two choices to link or to combine these two conditions. For example, we can use and or, these two words to combine two conditions. So if we use and here, and we, so if in this case we decide whether there are any past due amount in the credit card, so we choose the field, the past due amount here, double click it, so make it greater than 0. So it means that this credit card have some past due amount. So do you know what this expression means? This it means that the credit card that have balance greater than 2,000 and it have past due amount, right? So it just, for example, if in the data set we have a set of credit cards, this set of credit cards that have balance greater than 2,000, okay, and then we have another set of credit cards that have past due amount greater than 0, okay? So this expression, if we use and to connect these two conditions, it will return this part of the credit card that satisfying both conditions, okay? Okay, so you can see if we use this, then we use verify and then OK. So you can see that the number of credit card decreased. Before, for the first condition, we have 53 credit cards, and then for this one, if we use count record, and then OK, we find we have only 12 credit card that satisfy both conditions. Okay. Actually, in reality, we want to know the credit card that either have balance greater than 2,000 or have some past due amount, right? So actually, we want to know all this credit card here. We want to know this combination. So in order to do this, we need to use another word to connect these two conditions. Here we need to use or. Here instead of and, we use or here to connect these two conditions. So it means that the credit cards either have balance greater than 200 or they have past due amount. They will be selected. Okay, and then we click OK. You will see that it seems that we have more record now. And then if you go to Analyze, Count Record, okay, you will find that we have 61 record, which is greater than we only use one condition. In this case, we have 43 record. Okay. So this is the basic idea of setting filters and how to set more than one conditions in one filter. Okay. Okay. So that's the basic analysis, or get a general idea of this data sets. And now, in an audit, we may want to, let's go back to the transactions data set, the revised transactions in April data set. Let's now go back to focus on the transactions. So to get a better understanding or a further insight of this data, we may want to know the distribution of expenses on different categories or different codes. For example, do we spend most of the money on the air tickets or on the hotel? So if the management have this kind of information, they may want to limit certain expenses. If they want to limit certain expenses, they can issue some new policies, or they can adjust their policies according to the distribution of the expenses. Also, we may want to know the distribution of expenses based on the card number to see which credit card have the greatest expense. Then we may want to know why this credit card have so much expense compared with the others. Okay, so in order to do this, we can use two built-in functions in ACL. The first one is, let's first do the expense distribution based on the category, the code of the transaction. Okay. So the one function we can use here is in analyze, summarize. Here, you can see that when you click it, it shows you this dialog box, and you have a few options or a few things you need to set up. The first is summarize on. When you click on it, you will see a list of the fields here. If you move it, scroll it to the right, you can see that all the fields listed here are the categorical field and the date field. There's no numeric field listed here. So it means that the summarize this function, it can only work for the categorical field and the date field. Okay. So in this case, we are going to summarize this transaction amount based on the codes. So we could just double-click code to select it and move it to the right, and click OK. And in the subtotal fields, it's just what field we want to aggregate based on the summarized on field. So it listed all the numeric field here. Actually, in this data set, we only have one numeric field. It's amount, and this is the field we want to summarize. So you just click it to highlight it. And here in the other fields, if you click it, you can see also all the fields are listed here in this table. So it means that if you want to show any fields in the result, you can add this field to the selected fields to make it displayed in the result. Actually, because it's a summarization function, or you will see an aggregated result, so it doesn't make sense to show the credit card or the customer number, right? But because we aggregate this on the code, and we have a description to describe each code, so we may want to see the description in the result. So here we can add the description to this selected field, double-click it and make it selected, and choose OK. Okay, and then this is currently we're in the main tab. You can see there are two other tabs here. Let's go to the output tab. You will see you can see the result either in screen, or you can extract it to another table. Here we just want to extract it to another table, and we can name the table as summarize by code. Here I'm just going to name it as summarize by code, or the other name that can remind you the record stored in this table. Okay? And then you can click OK. Okay, you can see that there is another table automatically created, and it shows in the table list, and you automatically switch to that table. So you can see that there are 4 fields in this table: a list of code, the amount for each code, and the descriptions for the code, and the count for each code. Okay, so here we may want to sort the amount to focus on the greatest amount. So you can highlight the amount, right-click it, and then quick sort descendingly. So you can see the categories that have most greatest expense is the caters, and we also have the eating place restaurants and Hilton hotels. Those couple of categories that have very high expenses. So maybe we can just extract the top 5 or top 10 to report it to managers and let him to decide whether this is okay or whether they want to limit the expense on the restaurant or the other categories. Okay, so this is the summarize function to summarize the credit card transactions based on the code. Okay, then let's go back to the transactions to revise transactions in April. As I mentioned that we also want to analyze this transaction, the credit card transactions based on card number, right? So we can also use summarize to do this, but I want to show you another function in ACL that can have the similar function but a little bit different. It's also in the analyze, it's the classify function. You can click it, and then if you also have several choices, classify on or subtotal fields. Okay, if you click the classify on, okay, then you will see also see a list of the fields, but you can see that all the fields are the categorical fields. So you can see that classify on can only work for the text field. It cannot work for the date field. While summarize on can work for both categorical and date field. Okay, so you can summarize a transaction based on date, but you cannot classify transaction based on date. So here the one we want to use, the field we want to use is a card number. So you can just double click it to make it selected, and you click OK. And also the subtotal field is the amount here. Okay. And the output, you can also choose to save it in the file or show it in the screen. So we just saved our summarization field, result in the file. Let's see what happened if we choose a screen here. So here we just keep it as a screen, and then we click OK. You can see that the results are shown in the screen now. It has like 5 fields here: list of credit card, the count for each credit card, and the percentage of count, percentage of field, and the amount for each credit card. Okay, so for those results shown in the screen, if you want to get detailed information of each credit card number, you can click it. It will bring you back to the original data. Okay, so it's easier for you to drill down to the disaggregated or original data in the screen. Okay, so this is the classifying function. Okay, now we have analyzed these spending patterns based on both credit card number and the codes. Now we want to figure out what transactions in the April transactions are related to unacceptable codes. Okay, so let's go back to the transactions, and if you click any link or any credit card number through the classify result, you can just delete or remove the filter here by clicking this red cross sign to see the whole data set. Okay, so for now, all of our analyses are based on one table, right? Either transaction table or the credit card table. Now, if we want to identify the transactions that are related to unacceptable code, we will want to get information from more than one table. For example, we want to know which code are unacceptable code. So we will need to use the information in the table called unacceptable code table here. Okay. Okay, so we need to use this two tables in our analysis, and then we need to figure out a way to connect these two tables and to share the information. Okay? So before we do that, we just look into these two tables to see what we can do to connect them. So in the transactions table, we have car number, amount, transaction date, code, customer number, and descriptions. And let's see what is included in the unacceptable codes table. Like if we click it, you can see we have code and descriptions. Okay, so both codes and descriptions exist in the transaction table, right? So we can use one of these two fields to connect these two tables. Basically, usually for each code, we may have inconsistent descriptions, right? For example, we may call it hotel, or we may call it like using another way to name it. So usually it's better, and usually we will choose like code field to do the link or to join two tables, because usually it contains more consistent information. Okay, so here we can use this code field to join these two tables. Okay, actually the function we can use in ACL is in data join table. Here you can see that here in the in this dialog box, you also have several things to define. First, you need to define the primary keys, which is the field in this primary table. Here, currently, we're in the transaction table. It's a field in the transaction table we want to use to connect transactions and acceptable codes. So here, as we said, we want to use this code field, right? So the code field. And then here we need to choose a secondary table. It's a table we want to link to the transaction table. Of course, we already decided it's the unacceptable codes table. So we just choose this table from the table list. Okay, and the key here we want to choose is also, as we discussed, is the code. So we choose the code as the key. And then here we need to choose the primary fields, is the fields we want to include in the results. Okay, now we want to see all the fields in the primary table, so we can choose add all and then OK. And then also we can choose some field from secondary table to include it to show in the results. But in this case, most of the field in the secondary table are in the primary table, so we don't need to choose any fields here. And then you can see that we click pre-sort primary table, and then here we also want to click pre-sort secondary table to make sure that the join will be more efficiently. And then in the steering this to function, we need to type the name of the new table, of the join table. Maybe we can name it as unacceptable transactions. Okay, then we can click OK. Okay, you can see that there is an error message here. It shows that the key length of the two keys of the two fields we chosen is different. So in ACL, when we import data into ACL, some field we cannot manipulate the length of each field. So some field can have like longer, can have more longer length than it need. So in this case, if we want to join two tables, we need to manipulate the length of the keys or of the fields we want to use to join the two tables to make sure that they have the same length. Otherwise, you will see this error message when you do the join. Okay? Okay, now let's take a look at what happened in these two tables. Let's go back, close this function. Okay, so we can see that in the revised transactions in April table, the code they are 4 digits code, right? But if you click the table layout here, as we did in last week, you can see, first let me delete this. This is what I created. Okay, you can see that the code field here, the length is 7, right? Actually, it's a 4-digit code, but the length is 7. It means that when the data is imported in ACL, the software add some spaces into like either before or in the middle or after this the value to increase the length from 4 to 7. So we want to just delete all the spaces and create a field that have the length equals to 4, because the code is just 4-digit code, right? Actually, we cannot directly change the length of the field in ACL. So in ACL, we have to create a new field to include this only this 4-digit code without space. Okay. So here you can see on your left-hand side, you can see there are 4 buttons, 4 options. So the third one is add a new expression. So you need to click this one to add a new field to this table. Yes.
How do you get that table?
That table?
I'm behind.
Table layout. Okay. Let's come in the transaction table, and then table layout. So you can see this dialog box. And then on the left-hand side, the third button is add a new expression here. So we can give a name to this new field, like we can call it subcode. Here, let's just call it subcode. Subcode. Okay. And then we can use this expression dialog box to create this new field. Okay. In this expression box, as we have, there are several things we have used. Like we know that here lists the fields and here lists these manipulations. And on the right-hand side, we haven't used this list all the functions that embedded in ACL. So we are going to use these functions to create a new field. Okay. So the first functions we are going to use, named Substream, is we just scroll it down to the bottom, and then it's the third function, substr, substream. So this function can extract or extract a subset of the original field. So you can see the original field, we have 7 positions. Now we just want to choose 4 of them, right? So here we can define the length of the positions as 4. Length of these subset as 4, because the code has 4 digits. And then we can set the start point is as 1. So it will start. So we'll choose the first 4 positions of this 7 position to include in the in this field. Okay, and then in the string, usually we can choose any field from this field list. Okay, but if we directly choose the code fields now, as I mentioned, that when the space are added to this field, it may add it before the value. So if there is space added before the value, then if we choose the first 4 digits or first 4 positions of the original field, it may not include the complete code field, right? So we are going to use another function to delete all the spaces in the original field. And this function is named Auditing. actually is if you go to the top of this function list is the third one from the top, ALLTRIN, altering. So here, just put this function here. And in the stream here, we just list the field name, which is code here, okay? So this is the final expression we create to extract the code from the original code field, okay? So we use two functions, altering, delete all the spaces, and the substream just extract the first 4 digits or first 4 places of the original field. Okay. Okay. And then you choose verifying. It's okay, and just click OK. Okay. Here, because we need to do the same thing to the other table, so you can just copy this expression here, and we may need to use it later. Okay, you can just copy it from here, and then here you can accept it for this table. Okay, just accept it. Okay, so you can see that there is a new field has been added to the field list. Okay, and then you could just close it. Okay. Okay, then let's go back to the other table to see, well, what happened there in the unacceptable code table. Okay, then let's go back to the table layout to check it again. So we can see that the code field here had the length of this field is 5. So it's also not equals to 4. So it means that there are also some space or one space in this field. Okay, so we need to do the same thing again here to create a new field to connect these two tables. So here we add a new expression again, and we name it also as subcode. Okay. And then the function here, we could just paste the functions we created for the transaction table. Paste it, and then click OK, and then accept it, so that you will see a new field has been added to this unacceptable code table. Okay, and then you just close it. So any problem with this? You all got this? Great. What doesn't work?
The same expression that you administered, I can't get it to work.
It doesn't work?
It's saying,
You said.
I verified.
Mm-hmm.
Expression type invalid should be logical, not character.
Okay, let me see.
Maybe he didn't change the field earlier. That one we changed character.
Let me verify it. So in my, is it? Just make sure the code field is numeric, is marked as C. Is it? Let me take a look at your. If you click the table layout in the transaction table, here you can see this newly created field, subcode, and also in the unacceptable code table, in table layout, you see this subcode field. Okay? So you all have this? Okay. And then let's go back to the transactions table and use the data join table to join these two tables. Use the new field we created. Okay? So in the primary key here, we just choose this subcode field. Double click it, and OK. And the secondary table, we also choose the unacceptable codes table as before. And then the secondary key here is subcode. Okay, double click it, okay. Okay, and then the primary field, as before, we want to see all the field. So we choose all, add all, and click OK. Okay, the secondary field, we don't want to include any of them because they are included in the primary key field. So the name of the new, yes? Yeah, primary fields, add all. Okay. So in the two, for the name of the new table, it's unacceptable code, unacceptable transactions. Okay. Okay, so this for the main tab. As we see, there is another tab here named More. So if you click this one, you can see there are several more functions. For example, we can choose several, the first few fields, or we can just select several records to be included in the match. And here, joined categories, we could join, like here we choose to show the matched records. It means that only the records that belong to the transactions table and as well as in the unacceptable code table will be shown. You can also choose to show all the records in the transaction table or all the records in the unacceptable codes table. But in this case, we just want to show the matched field because those are indicated unacceptable transactions. And also you can choose to show the unmatched records to show those records just in the transaction table and not in the unacceptable code table. So it will return those transactions are acceptable transactions. Okay? So you actually have several other choices here. But in this case, we just keep these default choice to choose the match the primary records. Okay? And then we just choose OK. Oh, okay. Another thing is that, again, go back to the join table. Let's do this again. Primary key, choose subcodes. Okay. Secondary key, choose subcodes here. Primary field, add all. Okay. So another thing, don't forget, is this. Because we pre-sort, here we click pre-sort the primary table. So we also need to click here pre-sort the secondary table to finish the join, the match. Okay? And then type the name, unacceptable transactions. Okay. So make sure you choose the primary keys, to choose the secondary keys, choose the primary fields, and click this pre-sort secondary table. Okay? Then you click OK. Okay. Okay, now you can see that there is a new table created. It includes 7 transactions. Okay? So those 7 transactions, have unacceptable codes. Okay? Okay. So after we have identified these unacceptable transactions, do you think we can just report this to the manager, or what else? What other information we want to include in the result? So what other information do you think we need to add to this result? So currently we know the amount of the transaction, the card number, the code, the customer code, description, transaction date. What else we need to know about these unacceptable transactions? Employee information related to the unacceptable transactions, right? Okay. Now, we can see the employee information is stored in the employees table. If you double-click the employees table, you can see the first name, last name. So we know the card number for each for each employee, and the employee number and the hire date. Okay. Okay. Well, sometimes we may also want to know, like, the department of this employee. Besides, we only know the first name and last name of the employees. So in this case, we may also want information from the departments table. Just click the departments table. We can see we have the department description and the department name and department code. Okay. As for example, we are told that the first digits of the department code is equals to the first digits of this employee number. Here, you can see, for example, if the employee number starts with 0, then it belongs to the department, the administrative department. Okay, so first we want to match the employees with the departments, because in the employee table we cannot tell that these employees are from which department. Okay. Okay. So this is very similar to our last exercise. We need to link these two tables, the employee table and the department table. Okay. And we want to use the first digits of employee number and the first digits of the department number to do the link. So here, again, in this two table, we could create a new field to express the first digits of employee number and the first digits of the department number. Okay, it's very similar, just like added table layout. We can see the employee number in the employee table. The length is 6, and here this employee number has 6 digits. Okay, so we don't have any space in the employee number field here. So we can easily create a subset of this employee number by creating the expression that we used before. Like, just add a new expression. Like name here, we could choose sub employee number. Employee number. Okay. And the expression here, we could use, okay, like the function we used before is Substream. Here, you scroll down and it's the third one. Okay, and the stream here we can choose is the employee number, because it doesn't have any space in the employee number, so we don't need all stream function here. And then the start position is the first, is the 1, because we want to extract the first position, right? So we just type 1, and the length here is also 1, right? Because we only want to extract the first position. Okay, so we verify it, and then OK. Okay, and then we accept it. Okay, so you can see this new field that is created. Okay, and then we just close it, and then we go to the department table. Double click it, go to table layout again. We can see that department code here, it has the length is 8, while the department code we can see from the table is 6 digits. So we have some space in the department code field. So we need to use these two functions together, as we did for the code in transactions and code in unacceptable codes. Okay. So here we use add a new expression. Again, as name sub department code or anything. Here, let me just name it as sub department code. Okay, and the function here is very similar. The expression we created here is very similar to the one we created before, as we use Substream, and we change the length to 1. Start, also change it to 1. Okay. And the stream, we change it to all trim. And the stream here is department code. Okay? So make sure everyone has the same expression as I created here. So substream to extract the first digits of the department code, and all trim to delete all the spaces. Okay? And then we click OK and accept it. You can see we have a new field added here, and it has the length is 1. And then we just close it. Okay, now we can use the same like join table function to join these two tables. But now I want to show you another function in ACL that can do the similar work, but have different, have a little bit different, like basic, the idea is a little bit different. Okay, you can see that in the, let's go back to the employee table. Okay, and in the data here, besides join table, we have a function that two function above join tables. We have relate tables. Okay, just click relate tables. Just click OK. So you can see that here, the employee table is shown in this dialog box. Okay, and then here you can add another table to this dialog box too. Here we can add this departments table here. Add it. Okay. Okay. So now all the fields listed in this in these two tables are listed here, because we want to use this substream of the employee's number to link these two tables. So we can first click this employee, the sub-employee number field in the employee table, and then drag it to this sub-department code field in the departments table. Okay, just drag it. So you can see there is a link is created. A link is created. Okay? And okay, let me show you again. First, click the sub-employee number field in the employee table and click it. Don't release your mouse. Drag it to the sub-department code field in the department table. Okay? So you can see this link is created. Okay? And then you click finish. Here you're still in the employee table. You can see the data in the employee table. And then, for example, you just click this, choose any one of the field. For example, it's the card number field. You choose it to make it highlighted. And right-click it. There is an add column here. Okay? So if you choose add column, you can see this dialog box. And in the bottom, left bottom of this dialog box, you can see there is a from table function. And then if you click it, you can see both employee table and department table, because we linked these two tables. Okay? And then you can choose the department table here. It will list all the fields in department table. Okay? And then here you could just choose the departments here and then click OK. You can see that a field is added to the employee table. So now in the employee table, we know those employees are from which department. Okay? Okay. So what's the difference between this relate tables and join tables. You can see that if we use a join table, we'll physically create a new table that have information in both of the two tables, right? But if we use the relate tables, we just like create a virtual relationship between these two tables, but we don't create a physical new table. So if we have very large tables, sometimes if we have a lot of records, and then it will be very costly to create a new table that include all the transactions in these two tables. So in this case, maybe we just want to, it's more efficient for us to create this virtual relationship. Then we can still choose different fields in both of the tables and to make it displayed in either table that you want. Okay. So now we have connected the employee table and the department table. And here we also want to show the employee's name and department in the unacceptable transactions table. So you can see that in the employees table, we have this credit card number field. And in the unacceptable, yes, if you just here you want to change to another table, it will ask you to save the change. You just click yes. And then in the unacceptable transaction table, we also have this credit card number field. So here we want to use this two field to link this employee table and the unacceptable transaction table. So before we do that again, we also need to check the field length. So let's take a look at this unacceptable transactions table. The card number the length is 19. Actually, the card number is 16 digits. Okay, so again, we need to create a new field. Here, use the functions we're all familiar with. Add a new expression here. We can just call it a sub card number. Okay, and then the function here is again substream and ordering. Okay, substream. So the start here is 1, and the length here is 16. Okay, and the stream here we just choose ordering, and the stream here we choose the card number. Okay. So substream in ordering card number from 1 to 16. Okay. And then we verify it, and we click OK. Okay. Yeah, I'm finishing now. Okay. This is the last one, last function. Okay. And then we accept entry, and we just close this. Okay. So then we go back to the employees table. If we check the table layout again, we can see that the credit card number have 16 length, so it's okay. Okay. So now let's start another link between unacceptable transactions and the employees. So here for the we go back to the unacceptable transactions table, and then we go to data and relate tables. Just click OK if this message shows. Okay, and we add the employee table here. Employees table. Here, because we didn't create a new table that include departments in the employee table, so we may also want to add a department table here. Departments. So you can see that here we create a link to link these 3 tables. So for the unacceptable transactions and employees, we use this sub card number. We just click sub card number in unacceptable transactions to this card number in employees. to create a link here. And we use the sub-employee number and extract it to those sub-department number here to create another link. So you can see that we are linking these 3 tables. Okay? And then we click Finish. Now in the unacceptable transactions table, if we just click any field like card number and right-click it, so we can also add columns. So you can see that in the front table here, we have 3 tables. So we can choose employee table first. So add the first name and last name from the employee table. Click OK. So you can see the first name and last name of the employees. And then just right-click it, add columns again. Can just choose the departments table, add the department to the selected field, then click OK. So you will see that which employee in which department made these unacceptable transactions. So here you can see another advantage of this relate table function is that we could relate more than 2 tables at the same time. While in the join table, usually we can only join 2 tables. Okay, so after this, you could just report this result and extract this result and show this to the managers, in the final report. Okay, so that's it for the ACL tutorial. So what's the difference between join tables and relate tables? Join table create a physical table, while relate table create a virtual table. B is join table create a virtual table, while relate table create a physical table, or C, they are the same. The answer is A. As I said, the join table create a physical table, and the relate table create the relationships, the virtual relationships, and they can relate more than 2 tables. Okay? Okay.